Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 6 of SNL with host Simu Liu and musical guest Saweetie. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I'm joined this week by podcast staple Steve Finn. If you'd like to connect with us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. Oh, so this week, yet another first-time host. We got some cameos. We got plenty of Thanksgiving content. I am excited to break it all down with you, Steve. Thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a one-on-one Friendsgiving with you, Catherine.
Yeah. Yes, I planned this strategically. I missed our little chats. I thought let's just have Steve on. Let's get some quality time in with my good pal Steve Finn.
Why don't we catch up over some SNL chat?
Right. And speaking of catching up, I'm not familiar with this man at all, Simu. But I'm told you are. So you're a big fan of his, yes?
I'm a fan of his. I've been familiar with him ever since he was a up and comer on the Kim's Convenience show on CBC, Netflix as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to see him get this job on a big Marvel movie. He was pretty much an overnight celeb in the making, and it's really great. As a Canadian, it's nice to see another fellow Canuck, entering in the big realm. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a big Marvel fan. I go to the man park and I bark Marvel at the other men. This is my jam. And I gotta say, Shang-Chi was a good film.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I was afraid it would be like another generic Marvel film. They do play it safe, but this one just had such great fights, choreography, and Simu Liu was amazing in it. So check it out. Even if you're not a Marvel fan, you might like this one at least.
All right. Well, if we're ready, let's jump on in. For the cold open, Judge Jeanine Pirro gets rock hard for Judge Bruce Schroeder and another Trump appearance. Man, I loved the character of Jeanine Pirro. The little throwaway jokes, those are always consistent wins, but I feel like I can probably just grab a clip from the last time you were on the show, Steve, for the Kieran Culkin episode and paste it in right here for the Trump impression. I feel exactly the same way. I get it. James Austin Johnson has a heck of a good impression. It was really fun to see it that one time. We don't need a bi-weekly event of it,
No, I don't mind seeing it another time, but yeah, let's try to slow the pace a little bit. So let's hope this is at least the last one for a little bit.
That would be great, especially if you're gonna do the exact same 60 seconds on the clock gag.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, we've said all we said. Like you said, we could copy and paste our impressions of that the first time around. All I want to say is my favorite part was probably the Chloe and Chris section, and Chris's reactions to everything that she's saying. I thought the delivery was really on point for Chris Red, and
As
he was
it
making
always
me
is.
laugh. Yep, but yeah, all the lines were sharp. I thought the writing was pretty good. Like even at the very beginning, Jeanine Pirro killing anybody wearing hearing aids is a really funny way to give her some lines that really punch through with that character she's made. So I'm happy with this as a means to make me laugh and entertain me. I would just like to see some more variety on my variety show called SNL. I don't know if that's too much to ask.
Yeah. Well, I like them commenting on the Rittenhouse trial. It had to be done, and I thought using Chris's character was a really good approach to doing that. Like you said, those were all great, and the writing in the front half of this was really good. They had some really witty things. They had good commentary on it. but yeah, I just wish there had been a little bit more creative of an ending to it. I don't think it needed a Trump. So, all right, so a little hot and cold on the cold open. Uh, let's keep going to the monologue, where Simu Liu is the first Chinese host of SNL to be the fourth Chinese host of SNL. And Steve, you said you're familiar with him. How'd you like his monologue?
I thought it was great. And for people like yourself, I think it helps kind of sell the idea of just where the hell this guy came from all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden. Yeah, it's unless you're a Marvel fan, like we were talking about, you probably aren't really too familiar with him. So this is a good introductory way of bringing the audience up to speed for non fans. But hey, this monologue was, I think, great. It was short, it was sweet, it didn't try to do too much. And
Mm-hmm.
I think more monologues should end in swearing at children. Like that is just a great way. Him calling a 7-year-old a bitch. I just turned off my TV actually. So you're on your own talking about the rest of it because that was perfect. And I just didn't want to spoil
Mic drop.
it.
Yeah, it definitely was in and out. I think it was 3, maybe 4 minutes, if
Yeah, like a good
if
pop
that
song.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. As someone not familiar with him, he went through the basic things here. He's Chinese, also Canadian. He's has a Twitter. He's from the Marvel movie. Like, that they told me about him.
It,
Um, which is good. And I did appreciate on the rewatch that the first Chinese joke sort of playing into that sketch with Bowen later. That was fun. Um, but overall, like I wasn't cackling laughing at anything. Uh, but it didn't like leave like it did introduce me to the host. So like the monologue kind of has two jobs, right? Of like this is the host, you're in good hands, look, they can do it. Also, we're gonna make you laugh. And so like it sort of did one and a half of those things.
yeah, it leaned towards the former more.
Right.
We could have had more laughs, but yeah, I just had that nice warm feeling
Yeah. Like
of
he
watching it.
was
Like, this is
charismatic.
nice.
He seemed
Yeah.
likable. And I was like, okay, not a lot of like punchliney jokes, but I'm happy to go along the ride with him. So, good enough.
Good enough. That'll do.
And on that note, let's get into some sketch fare. It's not really music. It's not really comedy. Welcome to Karaoke All Stars. Uh I loved so much about this. I loved the karaoke tropes. They nailed each one with like really good key observations, performances to die for. Uh, Very creative way to get a Marge and Homer Simpson impression in. Um,
Yeah.
the father daughter, my pony will haunt my dreams forever. All of
Yeah.
that is so great, but I do have like a few nitpicky things that bothered me. So, like, first of all, Cecily is the perfect capper for this. Like that observation is so astute, and obviously, like Cecily can actually sing. I would have loved to just see her play the sketch off. Like we like seeing Cecily sing. I think that would have felt a little stronger. And then like Keenan's host character, I don't know. I think I would have liked to see him be a little bit more like a pea in the pod with Chloe. Um, it was sort of I don't know, the dynamic seemed a little weird to me there. So like I felt like that we could have had more fun going back to them if they were playing off each other a little more. Um
Yeah.
and yeah, so like and then the framing device is a little unusual, but I get it. It's really hard. I don't know how else you would sort of get all of these people in and out. But yeah, I think there's so much good stuff here, and it's a really good idea. There's just like a couple very small things that I'm like, oh, it just could have been that much better, and it would have been a home run. But as it was still a win. I really liked it. Did you?
Yeah. It's a fun little cabaret of little quirks and jabs. Uh, you know, you spend too much time at a bar and you You may not be so proud of finding these tropes familiar, but I think it's unavoidable, really. Uh, yeah, I think I'm gonna give my attention to Ego. For some reason, I've had a lot of fun with her drunk, overpronounced singing. For some reason, that tickled me really funny, and that's probably my favorite of the vignettes.
Mhm.
Yeah, wasn't expecting a Margin Homer impression, but
Oh.
it was nice to throw in there, I guess. And yeah, it was a weird thing to grasp. But I think I get what you're saying about like the hosts kind of having a disconnect. And I know visually it kind of put me off a little bit to have Chloe holding a microphone and Keenan not.
Right.
I know she was doing some singing and stuff, but they just felt like they were hosting two different shows.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think it messed with me more than I care to admit because it's a little thing, but yeah, just
Right.
one person holding a microphone, one not. Yet they're supposed to be like co-hosts of this. It
It made me feel like he was just gonna be there to be like, "Hey, don't drop the mic. This equipment's rented," and then leave.
yeah,
But then he stayed the whole
yeah,
time.
right. Whatever. I mean, she had the microphone because she sang us in and she sang us out.
Sure.
That's the only reason I can figure out for that. But yeah, nitpicky things.
Yeah,
I
like
had
if
fun
this
with it
is the
overall.
biggest thing we can find fault with, it's a good sketch, right? Like
Sure.
yeah, so like uh some things to complain about if we must. But overall, pretty strong sketch, pretty big win, lots of fun to be had with it.
Yes. It's got a good energy for a first sketch.
All right, well, let's keep going. Hosting Thanksgiving means hosting your family, and that can be a whole damn thing. Now, Steve, I know Canadian Thanksgiving was a little while ago, so maybe this might be more fresh on your mind more than something you're dreading this week. But what'd you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having Vietnam flashbacks watching it because yeah, it was my recent history, and
Mhm.
I wish you all the best of luck
I'll be
with
in New York,
yours.
so I got
Okay.
Friendsgiving.
Friendsgiving
Glorious.
happening. You'll be okay. Just don't smoke
I
any of
won't
that
smoke
new
any
weed.
weed.
but uh, but for this sketch, I I was just having fun with all of these different versions of it because we've all seen a crazy family dinner. SNL's probably done half a dozen of
Oh
them,
yeah.
and there's always something new to give, whether it's like a new generation of cast members bringing their flavor to it, or just how the jokes play out. Uh, it's a real. Uh, it's just hard to avoid. It's a hard thing to not do because
Mhm.
it's such a great
Right.
thing that everybody can relate to.
Mhm. You got to comment on
And
the
yeah,
holiday, like you're not
of
gonna ignore
course.
it.
Yeah, even though we've seen a very similar idea a bunch of times, like uh, I know that SNL is at least trying to find a fresh way to come at
Yeah.
it, and I think they did.
Mhm.
And yeah, while it's not going to win any awards from me, there's some great moments there, like a lot of Kyle's stuff, smoking outside, saying he drives drunk all the time. I love how brutal they can get with just the ugliness of uh the family time during the
Right.
holidays.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling?
Yeah, this was fun. I liked it. It's like you said, we've seen quite a few, and this probably isn't my favorite, but it's solid, right? Like there's I wasn't like, another ad. I was like, oh, okay, let's see what they do this time. And I was happy to go along with it. Um my favorite beats and sort of the ones I thought were the most creative was like a sale on dog food because someone will bring their dog even though you asked them not to. And then like Keenan saying the girlfriend had nice titties. That's just the word titties is funny, right? Like say it as many times as I will laugh every time. So
Hey
like
man, if titties were Beetlejuice, there would have been someone in this episode
yeah,
because we got at least three
we got a lot of
three
titties.
titty drops. Yeah.
um so yeah, like I thought this was fun enough. Obviously production nailed it, right? Like this I know it's this is said about a lot of things, like, like I was watching the show and I thought it was a real commercial, but my husband was like, he literally he was listening to it and he said, I always think this is Cecily. I was like, it is Cecily. And he was like, this is a real ad. And I was like, no, this is a sketch. Like, he was very genuinely confused. And then it didn't help this
Yeah.
morning when I turned it on YouTube, there was actually a Target ad that played before the fake Target ad.
Okay, now he's thinking you're just
Yeah, he's
gaslighting
like,
him at that point.
I'm leaving you. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah, like, production on these is just unparalleled. And then I got a kick out of some stuff in the background. I was like, oh yes, I've seen that at Target. This is real Target decor that you have here. So yeah, this had some fun stuff in it. It was a good time. All right, well, a win there. Let's keep going. The DoD has made the ultimate soldier, Doghead Man. Steve, were you happy to see this sketch recur? We've seen it before. How are you feeling?
Oh, sure. It's just a hilarious risk that's never going to go 100% right,
Right.
and that's the beauty of this. At this point, to expect this, to say, I hope nothing goes wrong with the dog this time. I hope he keeps his head where he should.
Of course, he doesn't.
That's you're gonna lose your hair if you're preying on things like that to happen. So yeah, but we don't want that, do we? We want to see the dog screw up, and we want to see how they try to keep the sketch on the rails
Mhm.
while most of the sandwich is on the floor, and that's where the dog wants to be.
Right. He's exploring his body.
He's exploring his body, and that's a great example of how they prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're learning, what they have to have, as maybe written on that clipboard of his, like lines to use if things go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really plan for when that dog is going to do what he does, but you can write a line and say, "Oh, he's just inspecting himself."
Right. Yeah, you can have
That
some
may have been
alts
ad-lib.
available.
Yeah, but I could just see that they've made room for these things to happen, and then to have an actual reaction to it.
Mhm.
Because that's something that can like make these sketches awkward, is that when they're trying to say lines that don't really match up with
Right.
what's happening anymore.
Mhm.
So yeah, Cecily was kind of over concerned. It was great. Like, whenever they cut away, you see Cecily like looking over, like, "Ooh, I hope they fix it. I hope they fix it." Like, you could tell when the dog was not doing
Mhm.
what he was supposed to be doing, even when he was off camera, because Cecily was just like,
Right.
trying to pay attention to James.
Yeah.
And yeah, so all that chaotic energy is there, and that's what I do. That's why I sign up for sketches like this, to get that. And there it is.
All right, so you were a little happier to go along with it than I was.
Sure.
I liked the original one in season 43. I don't know that it. I mean, I can see what you're saying. They learned from it, like, and I get the notion of, like, when something goes really well, you want to do it again. Like, as a writer, I'm like, yeah, let's do that sketch again. I think I can make it better this time. But I don't know. Some of the things that made the original so fun were lost here, because the first one kind of allowed the dog to be goofy. Like, if you remember, like, it was like waving and doing like finger guns and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really fun. But in this one, it's like assembling a gun. So
Yeah.
I guess you could say that, like, being more serious and doing more legitimate tasks is like a juxtaposition, and that is more heightened. But like, for me personally, the sketch just sort of lived in that goofiness, and so to lose that a little bit with, like, the dog not being able to, like, be as goofy, um, made it work a little less for me. So, like, I liked seeing the dog, uh, but the sketch was just a little bit more middle of the road. But then, like, I have a friend in town who had never seen the original one, and she really liked it. So, like, I get why they do this, right? Because most people don't watch every single episode or remember sketches from 20 years ago. So, like, it was fun for that. So I can't fault them too much for me saying, like, I've seen this before. But yeah, it was fine. It was middle of the road
Fair enough.
for me. All right, so a little bit more mixed reviews there. Let's keep going to the game show that asks, "Is this person Republican or not?" I like this one. This was really fun. It's really smart too, right? Because these two sides of the coin are polar opposites, but at the same time, if you break it down small enough, we're complaining about the same things in a way, right? Like,
Well, yeah, it's identical in result, but like what motivates it
mhm,
is what's different. So without that information, we still can't tell.
exactly.
And that was a brilliant thing
Yeah.
to explore for
So
sure.
smart. I loved hearing each side use those same pieces to defend opposite beliefs. Like the whole like my body, my choice thing being used by anti-vaxxers is dizzying, but okay. And then like this just had so much going for it. A game show is such a good setting for this. Keenan obviously is a wonderful host, and like all of his little heightening moments were great, right? So like he's eating popcorn now. Um, this was a big win. Sort of similar in overall commentary to something like Black Jeopardy, but very, very different from Black Jeopardy, right? A little goofier than that. So yeah, I thought this was
Yeah,
fabulous. Did you agree?
sure. And you brought up Black Jeopardy and the Hanks episode of Black Jeopardy, Blank Jeopardy, Black Jeopardy. Yeah, that came to mind. It was a different. It was a little bit different from that, and I do agree that the game show setting was a good way to convey it. And they didn't get too bogged down with like rules of the game. You know, like this game doesn't really make sense on a practical level. Like this game would not be able to exist without like a pre-written script behind it
Mm-hmm.
taking the wheel. But we don't care because the format just
Right.
works for conveying the method. And yeah, we enjoy seeing the exasperation of the contestants trying to do it. And to top it all off, we have Keenan just like killing it with his lines. Uh, she is the daughter of Dick Cheney. One of my favorites of the night. Yeah, a lot to love here. And yeah, I think at this point of the night, I'm saying we got a decent episode going on. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, this was probably giving me my first like full like this is a win of the night for me. Like I really liked the karaoke one, but I think I was in my head on that one a little bit. And then some other things I was like, yeah, I like this, I like this, I like this, and this was like, oh, this is really smart. I really like this one. So like this grabbed my attention, and I was ready to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so
Great sketch.
big win there. Some smart commentary. Let's get into a pre-tape with Pete, Big Wet, Mark Cohn, and Method Man walk in Staten. And Steve, you were here last time Big Wet was on the show, so I don't know what it is. You're a
Yeah,
magnet for Trump impressions and Big Wet. How'd you feel
it
about
just follows me around like a rain cloud, just keep me wet. I I'm glad that I do a rewatch a second time before I do this because in that rewatch I had a better appreciation for it. I think I don't know. Maybe I found Pete's auto tune very unpleasant. And when you know that song and you know the melody that's coming, and then you hear it delivered like that, it kind of it gives you a sour
it?
taste. So that was fighting against my enjoyment. But yeah, on second watch, I just focused more on the material and the writing of it. And this was a weird, funny song. And I think, they played it right by staggering the
Mhm.
cameos. There was some life breathed into it once or twice with bringing in Method Man at the end. Yeah, a lot of surprises here. And as much as I've been to Staten Island once, and I went to a golf club, so like I didn't see this Staten Island. Uh, this this sounds hilarious. Like it makes me want to go just to see like the hospital turkeys or the deer from New Jersey. It sounds like a really awesome place. And who doesn't love pizza and bagels? Like, uh, I know they were trying to make it sound, not so great, but it was actually a little bit appealing. Maybe too many cops, but
right. Yeah, this was fun. A lot of great observations here, right? The cameos are fun, and I've always said I always understand why they do cameos. Some people complain about them, but I'm like, it's a crowd pleaser. I get it. They want ratings. Um, but to me, it's always nice when, even though I understand why they do cameos, when they do cameos that aren't just for the sake of doing the cameo. Like these cameos actually added to the joke, right? Um, so I
right.
really, really appreciated that. Like Mark Cohn comes in, is like, no, I don't want to be in a parody. What do you mean I'm already in it? Like that's really funny. And then like having Method Man, like it adds to the sketch. So I like
Yeah.
that these were cameos that were purposeful and useful, right? I think this could have had some more like hard jokes in it. Stuff like like it's a bagel place inside of a pizza place. Like that's a good like joke. And then some of the other things are just like kind of listing weird things about Staten Island. And I thought there could have been a little punchier there. Um, but that's a pretty small, again, that's a pretty small complaint, right? It's sort of like the karaoke one. Like if that's the worst I can say, then like this really worked. This was really fun. Yeah, I had a good time with it. And who would have expected this big wet guy to be such a staple? Because he was in the Squid Game one, he was in this one, and then there was another musical piece over the last couple weeks, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember what it was. He wasn't in it, but he was listed as a producer of it. So he's
So he just
he's
works
just
for
hanging
SNL
out
now.
at 30 Rock producing comedy tracks. Like, wouldn't have bet money on that after the Squid Game parody, but obviously he's vibing with someone and staying in the room. All right, so walking in Staten, fun time was had. Let's get into our musical performances. Saweetie gives us Tap In / Best Friend and AC Chain. Steve, what'd you think of Saweetie?
I thought she was great. I don't have a whole lot to say about the music,
Right.
but yeah, it was entertaining. It was quite provocative, and yeah, she's got quite the booty on her, and she knows how to shake the chookus.
What was it Keenan said? Like you could bounce a nickel off
cha
that.
cha. Sure. All I want to say is that it was a good time, and I skipped it on my rewatch. Not gonna lie, it wasn't enough for me to like put the time into listening to it a second time. I feel like I got it. I got the idea of it. I had fun. We did some dances, and it was okay.
Yeah, I too skipped over it in my rewatch. I was short on time, to be fair, but I probably would have even if I wasn't. I had no idea who she was coming into this. I vaguely remembered that McDonald's at one point had a meal like last year called the Saweetie meal, and I was like, I don't understand what that is. I thought it was like a Valentine's Day promo, but it wasn't anywhere near Valentine's Day. And then when they announced her as the SNL musical guest, I sort of was like, oh, that's a person. Is that the same as that McDonald's promo? So says a lot for her music career. Or I'm just a boomer now. So that's the
See, I never heard of that one. I heard of the BTS
yeah,
meal.
there was that.
I didn't hear the
Saweetie meal. I have no idea what was in it. I never ordered it. I just saw like the ads.
It was nuggets with sweet and sour sauce. Probably.
I actually think that might be right.
They just added an A.
But yeah, so I was like, that's the extent of my knowledge. But then she started singing, and I was like, oh, I know this song. I like this song. The best friend one.
So
yes,
you heard
I was like,
songs.
oh yeah,
okay.
She's my best friend. She's like it's fun. It's catchy. I listen to it sometimes. I'm just 1,000 years old. It's like I don't know who sings that song. You know the one. my best friend. So yeah, the performances were fun, but that's really the extent of my thoughts was that McDonald's promo.
Okay.
Putting these puzzle pieces together
I'm
from my
learning
life,
so much. Oh, that's great. All
Okay.
right.
Well, on that note, that great Saweetie impression I just gave you, let's get into Weekend Update, where Jost and Shay discuss Biden's colonoscopy and the Queen's new titties.
There it is.
They're not going to say titties and me not mention it. So I thought this was a really strong update outing. They had great energy. The crowd was really into it. A great hot crowd last night for sure. A lot of the jokes it was a lot of those ones that make you go, ooh, where it's like, oh, that was funny and it was a good zinger, I love those. The more of those, the better. And then, yeah, they got in several of those like seen here, blah, blah, blah jokes, which I've said before, I think are just so clever and such a good way. You're packing two jokes into one, right? So, this was a big win for me. Steve, how would you rate it?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And for sounds like the same reasons. I love them both. Colin was definitely straight savage. He was, wow. If you were in his line of sight, you were getting smoked. And yeah, they were all brilliant. You had fella scowling at interracial couples and
one more liver, please.
Bannon got it. It was a great time, and yeah, we gotta give it up for Che. I mean, if he told no other joke than the Queen's different phase of health, what a turn of phrase that is. Yeah, that's that Jost. I mean, how do you? He was right. How do you follow that?
You don't.
And yeah, it was like this is where they probably should have had an update because like the amount of effort to get it back on track out of that was kind of like amazing to watch. It was like moving a boulder, but he did it, and he that's what I love about Colin. He's great with hanging on to the moment with the audience when the audience needs an extra beat to get over what they heard. He kind of stands in it as a
he's not afraid to leave a little room there
and laughs along with you. Yeah. It's the work of a professional.
It's almost like he's been doing this for basically his whole life. So yeah, big high marks on update. Let's talk about these features. Up first, Baby Yoda, set to make his Thanksgiving Day parade debut, chilling between Pikachu and Ronald McDonald. You got your Baby Yoda mug. You're ready.
Baby Groot, we are not friends.
So I assume you were excited to see him again. Did you like this?
Yes, and this is probably why he didn't invite John, because he doesn't like to talk about Baby Yoda. I don't think, at least this one. We're all fans of the Mandalorian, the Star Wars. We like the character, but I've grown to love this version of Baby Yoda, and it's become a thing now for him to have like a new gimmick every time, and it's great to see that unfold. And I like how like he's still jacked from the last time, and now the tattoos and the hair is there. So I guess like every time we see him, he's just gonna like be amassing like new things. Like how Where's Waldo ends up with like the binoculars and the hat. Like he's gonna have it all. I thought this was a really fun one, and Kyle just is so unexpected. Like some of his holes and some of his exclamations that he does are just like in the weirdest places. Like he'll deliver a line and he'll be pretty much finished with his part and then do some weird damn or something. And like Jay is just trying to like keep up and like get his line in. And I feel like it's a landmine of a performance.
Yeah, this was fine. Like you said, Kyle's performance in this is amazing. Like he owns it, right? He is in no way what I will find fault with. And I like this character. I've been on board with Baby Yoda. I think every time I've seen him, but I think we're maybe reaching the end of his welcome. I don't know that I need to see him a bunch more times. Um, and I will say, to speak for John, because he'll fire me if I don't. His complaint is always that it's too grotesque, right? And I will say that friend that I had over that hadn't seen it, her exact quote was, "This makes me sad because I really like Baby Yoda." Like it
Yeah.
actively made her sad to see like Baby Yoda being a douchebag. So maybe John's onto something there, but yeah, like this was fun enough. I feel about it the same way I felt about others. But if it continues to come on and I continue to feel that exact same way, I'm gonna get tired of feeling that way, right? Um, so yeah,
Yeah. But grotesque is
yes,
the right word.
grotesque.
Kyle Mooney's Baby Yoda makes Yoda look like Baby Yoda.
Yes. All right. Well, Baby Yoda, love him or hate him, he's here. Let's talk about our next one. Normal mom who's hot and pissed, Mother Earth. This was fun. I love 80s performance. I think I felt like the writing on it was maybe a little messy. Like I feel like the idea of personifying Mother Earth is really fun, right? There's a lot of things to do with that. But I think there were sort of two ideas here. So like there's what if Mother Earth was really sick as a comment on climate change? And then what if Mother Earth was like a MILF? Uh and that's two weird things going head to head in this character, I think. Uh where I think if they had just leaned into one or the other more, it would have come off a little cleaner. Um, and personally, I was having more fun with sort of like Mother Earth, like the bad bitch MILF. That's my best friend. But like, obviously, I get it'd be really hard to have like Mother Earth the MILF and not comment on climate change. So I understand how like it's tricky to weave all that together. But I think there is maybe like a more fun way to like have that be the strong character and her comment on climate change more in that character. Um so yeah, like this was fun, but I do feel like it could have been a little more focused maybe. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean it was great. 80 was very adorable and very fun in this sketch. I thought it was, I mean, not the most original idea. I think we've seen versions of this in other places. I know Louis C.K. has a very similar joke. It's more from the perspective of God, but it's the same reactionary idea, people having to answer for how they've treated the earth. It's an idea that's been explored, and I like this version of it. It gets points for doing something with a not super original idea. But yeah, 80s spunky personality was a great fit for something
Mhm.
like this. There was some hilarious thought provoking stuff, like when she got into the coal thing. Like, yeah, the point is like we should be moving away from coal, and like adding that extra layer that it's actually a weird thing you're doing to Mother Nature's
Mhm.
butt. Like it it's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
a really
funny
fun way
stuff
to
there.
comment on like the energy
Uh,
like the sun is begging for a
yeah,
job. Like that's really fun.
yeah. And another reason I'm glad I do rewatches is because I caught the last line the second time around. Did you hear the line
It's
during the
not I
outro?
can't think of it if I did.
Mother Earth, everyone.
Yeah, love is my diarrhea.
That's she's when they're saying Mother Earth, everyone, she says, lava
Oh,
is
yeah,
my
I definitely
diarrhea.
did not catch that.
Yes.
That's great. All right. So Mother Earth, fun time. Uh Lava's her
Yeah.
diarrhea. Let's keep going. Up next, Baking Championship is back. And this time, the contestants are making cakes of things they're grateful for. Steve, how'd you feel about this outing of our Baking Championship series?
Oh, these are fun, I must say. And hey, Sarah is a great addition to the cast to be used for this. I really like how much she sold the first half of it, and then uh once the reveal hit and everything that had to do with that character was so funny to me. And that's the thing. We see a lot of these sketches before, but when you put a new cast member in it, that's when you perk up again and it's like, oh, this is something new. So this was a really great uh insight into what Sarah is strong with. So yeah, that's great. I mean, Kyle's bits is something I always look forward to. I don't think it'll ever reach the heights of Yoda's famous penis again, but they're always great and they're always fun to look forward to. Of course, we always have a cake coming to life. That's there. And I just want to say, if I feel like Pete just decided he was going to walk on and be part of this sketch, like dressed in his normal clothes, just walked out and said, "Hey, can I be a judge too?" Yeah. He seemed very like non-committal, just like eating cake and like missing his cues because he just rather stand there and eat cake. Oh, we're supposed to be huddled and talking now? Okay, I'll stop eating
Speaking
cake.
of that, something I forgot to mention just now in Baby Yoda was that I did really love the whole like mom from the Berenstain Bears as like a comment on Pete's dating history or current dating situation. Like I think that was really fun to sort of play with. But
oh
yeah.
I didn't get that connection. Okay, because I just took that as them playing with like he like interacts with other
I think
fictional
that's part of it, but I
characters
think
in
like
this world.
yeah, like there's all this media attention around me is sort of like a joke about Pete and Kim. I think that was funny.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense now.
So yes, sorry to derail you with that little backtracking tangent, but it's important. But yeah, like these are fun. Like you said, there's pretty much there's the standard beats that we hit. One's gonna come to life. Cal's gonna have the penis. Like they're all gonna be bad. Heidi's is gonna be good. And I think the last time this was on, and I don't even remember when it was, but I think my thing was like, okay, yeah, like this was fun. I think I'm good with like this being the last one. I don't think we need to see it again. And I think John was like, I didn't need this one. Um, so
yeah,
I think I stand by that. I think I would have been fine with that last one being the last one because I think that was the one where Beck's cake was like really coming to life and everything. And like it was the one that was like shooting chocolate out of it, if I remember correctly, which I may not because I'm not an encyclopedia. But I don't know. This didn't really add anything new to it. I thought Kyle's cake wasn't quite on the same level as one of the others. It like you said, you're never gonna top. It's Yoda and his famous penis, of course. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe time to say goodbye to the baking championship sketches. As much fun as they are, and like they're clever, and you know, yeah, and I mean, like I said with some of the other ones, like my friend who wasn't necessarily familiar with them was like, "Ah, this is funny," and I was like, "Oh yeah, but this is like the sixth one."
Yeah, but they've done like 12 of them.
And yeah, like I get it. So yeah, like I get it. They're fun. You have the set pieces. You find new ways to do it. It's your darling. But yeah, I think I'm satiated on the baking show.
Fair enough. I mean, it just works better with a host like this. Like I remember when they did one for the Eddie Murphy episode. I was like, why are you using Eddie Murphy for this? Give me a break.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like it's it's nice. Like it's formatted really well for a first time host. Like he doesn't have to carry the whole sketch. He just sort of has his one little section of it. But yeah, for someone like Eddie Murphy, it's no, we want him in the whole sketch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that
Fair
out
enough. There. So baking show, it's as good as it was. That's maybe the best way to say.
Yes.
All right. Up next, the first ever SNL sketch about being the first ever Chinese person to do things. This was so fun. I loved this one. It's always really nice to see them write something that is so specifically for the host they have. Like this wasn't, something they had in their back pocket. Like it was, or like something recycled from a different week. It was like this one was written for this host. It plays to his strengths. It's about him. Like that's really fun to see. So I always get excited when it's like very clear that that's what's happening here. And I just think this is such a funny way to go about it too. I thought obviously it's like good commentary on just this phenomenon of like, oh, they're the first this and the first that. And like it is important to recognize like that like diversity and the progress being made there. But like it also like I can see how like it's maybe like, well, this is a little too specific, right? Like so yeah, I thought it heightened really well, with the things that they were being rewarded for getting more ridiculous. So like, like the first ever Asian Marvel superhero is a big deal. The first ever Asian man to do You Pick Two at Panera, not a big deal, but it's treated like the bigger deal of the two, right? So yeah, that was really fun. They made it active with like the ceremony beats and a perfect blackout line of Bowen saying, "But I'll always be gay." Everything about this was wonderful. I have zero complaints about it. Where are you gonna land?
I'm landing very strongly on this is amazing. Yeah, if you just if you have a landing strip that says amazing, that's where I'm gonna aim. Because this is what this was. And I love Bowen. Bowen is an amazing man. So just seeing him get to have this sketch of his own with the host is great. You're in good hands when you see Bowen leading the charge. This is no exception. Everything you said is right. All of that is great. What I loved about this is how they were trying to sell the fact that they didn't really care about it. That's what I loved. And it really made it so much more effective that they went through the trouble to get all that coverage of every situation, like all the different award shows, the Panera checkout. Like that was all, extra setups. And you could probably make this work without all those cutaways. But just the fact that they have all of those, it's show don't tell, and
it would have been
that's
much
a big
less
thing.
fun without those.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's what really sold it is the way that they're trying to stay humble, but they're like in reality super jazzed about being the first Asian to finish Diablo 2 or whatever the video game was.
I think it was like StarCraft 2, maybe.
StarCraft 2, yeah. That was great. And the ending was great. Like it's like flipped on its head and turned into like a horror movie at the end. And that was a great way to just cap it off because, it was just a whirlwind. So how do you like stop that momentum and put an end on it? You put in some ominous music and you
like the Shining-esque picture. Yeah.
A menacing stare on Bowen. Yes. And you got a great way to end a sketch there.
And I just also just as a quick shout out to a couple of my favorite lines. I love like you have abs and I have ibs. IBS. I also loved like you're the first openly bottom man on that list. He's like, I'm not open about that.
Who told you?
Yeah,
I just guessed.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and it was edited, like you said, so fast. Really great. Really great. Big win there. Let's talk about the 10-to-1. Some professors have smoked too much weed, and now they are dead. Steve, how'd you feel about these stoners?
Oh, it's so great. I could imagine, some of the professors I've had being the ones standing in for this. Like the idea of an academic type trying this new weed or whatever is hilarious. And what I think really worked for this is the callbacks and the fact that like all of them thought they were dead, but the fact that kept coming back, and every time she talked to someone, they'd more quickly and quickly get to the "I'm dead" part, which was great. And I don't know, like these are all very well explored ideas in comedy that we're seeing tonight. Like so much stuff that we've seen, like the awkward family dinner, and now we're seeing people thinking they're going to die like on weed. We've seen this in like somebody taking an edible by accident. It's just one of those ideas that's not so original, but is a good well to draw from. You're going to get something funny out of that. So yeah, and just like everything else tonight, it's saved by the quality of the performances, the writing, and everything they did with it. I love the close-ups that we didn't get a wide shot of everyone in the room. So every time there was a new character showing up, we hadn't seen them yet. And I just love
that
the
allowed
reveals.
Keenan to be like under the coffee table and surprising.
Yeah. And like if we had zoomed out and we had seen all of them before that moment, that wouldn't be a laugh out loud reveal then. So Ego being in split screen with it, that was just a great way to, I don't know, tell the story. And yeah, let's give props to Ego because she was basically just the victim the entire time. She was involved on the other end of that sketch for its entirety. So she did a really great job just leading the charge on that. Great to see Ego do stuff. She's always a great lead in sketches.
Yeah, Ego's wonderful. I loved this. The second part, this end of the show is really coming through for me. I'm not a person who smokes a lot of weed, as you may have been able to tell by knowing me in general. But when I do smoke weed, like this is what happens to me. I get very anxious. I'm already an anxious person, and like so I don't need a single bit more of that in my life. But like smoking weed takes it to a new level. So I just related to this so strongly, and I just love like the setting of making it older professors who are like trying weed for the first time in a long time. I think that's so smart because I know my first impulse, and I think probably most people's first impulse would be like, okay, yeah, it's like kids trying weed the first time and this is what happens to them. But making it like older people makes it so much more endearing and just like adds a level of whimsy to it. And I think that makes it so much more fun, and it heightens really well with their requests. Like the first one's like, please send the hospital to me. And then by the time we get to Keenan, it's send every ambulance in the world. So yeah, it's just fun, goofy, and apparently this was based on like a real 911 call, which is very funny. It's like a police officer and his wife, and he like took the marijuana from evidence, so sketchy. But they like baked it into brownies, and he called 911 and was like, "We're dead." Like, I'm not gonna spoil it for you because if you want to know, like, you should look it up. Like, someone mentioned it in a comment on Reddit. And that more fun to be had if you want to Google that. But yeah, the show went out on a high note for me with this one. I really, really liked this one. So we got a win there.
Yeah, this
was
great.
a win.
This was a win.
All right. That's the end of the rundown. Let's talk about our overall thoughts and feelings. Steve, what is your moment of the night?
Moment of the night. This one was tough, actually, because there were so many good moments. Like I said, we had 80 saying her lava is her diarrhea. That's a moment. Mark Cohn breaking the fourth wall. That's a moment. Heidi getting puked on.
Mm-hmm.
That's always going to be a moment. But out of a series of great moments, how do you choose a king moment? I don't know. You just gotta go with your gut. And my gut was in a stitch when 80 dropped that line. So I'm gonna go with lava diarrhea.
Fair
Lava
enough.
diarrhea got me. It was worth the rewatch.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm a little torn between two, but they're both in the kind of Bowen versus Simu line sketch. One is that line I already mentioned, like you have abs, I have ibs. But I think what I'm gonna give it to is we're like the Spider-Man meme. That's just like so silly and got like a
Nice.
nice hearty laugh out of me both times I watched it, just to see them do the little pose. And that's like sort of memeable in and of itself. So I think that's a really solid moment.
We should do one ourselves. If I turn this way,
Wait, which
I
way do I
point
turn?
at you.
This way?
You turn the other way.
Woo!
Here we go. We did it.
So
That's
for
a
all of our
poster.
audio
That's a
listeners,
poster right there.
tune in to the video version, baby, to see what in the hell we're talking about. We do.
We gotta do more stuff that relies on
get those
visuals. So
YouTube,
people
get those YouTube people in so they can
That'll get
smash
people
that
over.
like button, subscribe, turn on your post notification, comment down below. All right. Well, on that note, let's talk about our best sketch. What are you gonna give it to?
Best sketch. Let's give it to the Asian off. That's what I'm calling it. It was a great sketch, really well paced, really funny, and yeah, it was like you said, it was a sketch that's very appropriate for the host. Like I don't think Kim Kardashian could pull this one off quite as well, but I just love this sketch a lot, and I'll probably keep this one in my back pocket whenever like I'm hanging out with some friends. I'm like, hey, you want to see something funny? This would be a great one.
Yeah. We talked a little last week about sort of a really good meter for what defines your best sketches, rewatchability and shareability. So the one that I'm gonna send to my friends, or the one I'm gonna keep in my head to show my friends, like that's a big deal. It's not all, you don't always have one that you're like, oh yes, I must send this to 3 friends. But I thought, like you said, the Bowen versus Simu thing was that was it. That's the one that I will pull out as a party trick. And it was just so fun, so goofy. It was for the host. I thought it was edited really well. Just a really good time. Honorable mention to that 911 call. That was definitely my runner up. But I think the Bowen one was just a little bit I don't know, a little bit snappier. So that's it. All right. Well, let's talk about our MVP. Who are you gonna give it to?
This is tough. There is it's it could easily be a Keenan night. It could be an Ego night. I'm feeling Ego. I'm feeling Keenan. But everybody was great. Look at Cecily. Look at even Chloe was great. I think we saw so much. I feel like I just want to give it to Lorne Michaels for just being awesome and bringing us a great show.
I don't think he's eligible for MVP.
Okay, I'll give it to. I'm going to give it to Keenan because Keenan had some amazing line delivery, and I don't know. It was the moment when he popped up in the 10-1 sketch that one just really clicked for me, because I mean I'm already having so much fun, and you haven't even shown me Keenan yet. Like that's a great feeling to have, and then to get to Keenan, I guess. That sketch was going so well. I was very, very welcoming of his part, and it was great as always.
He was very present in this one. He had big moments, and it works out because I'm going to give it to Ego. Your honorable mention there. So I think Ego was in a lot of stuff, but also was fabulous in a lot of stuff. Like her scene stealing moment with her version of Smooth Operator in the karaoke sketch, and then she really carried the 911 sketch, and also I thought she was doing great stuff in the Target ad too. So Echo's great. Echo's having a really good season too. So yeah, Echo it is. Let's talk about our rating on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. How would you rate this episode?
My gut wants to say great, and part of me wants to take it down to a decent because of the some of the more often tapped wells of comedy that were used. The funny marijuana sketch, the funny family dinner sketch. These are very familiar, and for that reason, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a decent. But I found myself just not caring and thinking, I don't feel like I've seen this before. I didn't roll my eyes and say this again, so there's no reason not to give it a great. I would have to just be like a big sourpuss or a Debbie Downer, if you will. Cue the zoom in for me to do that.
Well, thank you so much for setting me up there because I'm going to say decent. I don't know. I thought there was a lot of stuff that was fine. A few things I really liked. But yeah, just a lot of recurring things. We saw the 60 seconds on the clock Trump gag 2 weeks ago. We've seen Target ads before. We've seen Doghead Man. We Baby Yoda's a repeat. Baking Championship's a repeat. So yeah, I don't know. I think there was a lot of stuff for me as someone who watches this religiously every week, where I was like wanting something a little fresher, I guess. But like I said, my friend who doesn't watch every week was having a good time. So I don't know. I felt like there could have been a little bit more of a mix of newer stuff in there, or maybe freshening up some of the repeats to be differentiate themselves a little bit. So yeah, just a lot of stuff that was sort of middle of the road. I didn't love either of the update features, so it's just a decent for me. Sorry.
Fair enough. No, I
Well, thank
respect it. It's yeah. See, I considered it, so it's not way
Fair
off
enough.
base. I don't think.
All right. So yeah, episode decent to great. I think Simu Liu did a good job with what he had. He seemed competent. He did. I don't know. He wasn't that present, but I'd be fine seeing him again. It was a good time. And yeah, they're getting 3 weeks off now,
Yep.
so maybe we'll come back rested, refreshed, get some new stuff going. Getting those December shows. So
Can't wait to see a nice, refreshed
yes,
cast.
they deserve all the naps.
a big break. So yes, we
Absolutely.
could use a break too. Eh?
I'm
Yeah.
excited for my
We've earned
3 weeks off. I have got a few things. I've got the team I'm directing at the Laugh Index Theater. We've got a show December 15th, I want to say. My Boogie Manja team, Wilburn, has a show 2 days after that on the 17th. Assuming I'm getting those dates right. I got a sketch I'm working on for my YouTube channel that I've still got to film. Got a lot of stuff in the works, so I need a little time off from this to get all that stuff done. But yeah,
this
is
is from heaven for you. Then this is why they give breaks to the cast. So
Right, yes.
Catherine can make
Look,
her
guys,
sketches.
we would love to go 6 weeks in a row, but we've heard Catherine over at the podcast just needs a break. So sorry, public.
That's it.
All right.
The secret now.
Steve, thanks for being here. I enjoyed our little catch-up session. So good to see you. And on that note, that is a wrap. Thanks to Steve Finn. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 3 weeks when SNL returns with host and musical guest Billie Eilish. But until then, this has been episode number 148 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.